Feels like it's been ages since I had to sit down and chat with you guys. Oh god, the comments section. The comment section is just going to be a bloody battlefield after this. Well, here we go. So this is a topic I've been debating on making a video about for a while now. I wasn't sure if it was something really worth discussing, but then, luckily for me, just the other day on the Bravely Default subreddit, someone made a poll asking, what is the easiest Bravely game? And the answers to said poll were what prompted me to finally commit and talk about it. Before we get started, if you like these kinds of sit down and talk videos, then make sure to like and subscribe for more in the future. Thank you. As of the making of this video, the leading vote for the easiest Bravely game was for Bravely Default 2 with 133 votes, followed by Bravely Second with 93, and then Bravely Default with only 41. Now this isn't the first time I've seen this debate. I've noticed it on game FAQs, in the comments section, on Discord, lots of times already, so this isn't just a knee-jerk reaction to a single poll that I disagree with. Now I'm not saying that every single person on Reddit, Discord, wherever has this opinion that BD2 is the easiest one. There were in fact a nearly equal amount of comments on that poll arguing for Second being the easiest game. Hell, there are even some comments that mirror what I'm about to talk about. So let's just get into the discussion. Oh, and there maybe will be spoilers, probably, I don't know, we'll just throw a spoiler warning up there, why not? What I want to argue today is that Bravely Default 2 is not the easiest Bravely game, but in fact the hardest. And I believe the points I'm going to raise can also be applied to other games as well. So the first thing to bring up is the most common reason I see for when people say 2 is easy. The game is easy to break. I think we have to be very clear. There's a difference between breaking the game and beating the game. It's literally in the word. Breaking. You are already admitting that you are breaking the game, i.e. not playing it as the devs likely intended. And when I say breaking, I'm talking about excessive usage of stuff like Godspeed Strike, Neocross / Beastmaster, Reflect Arcanist, Phantom Salve Maker's a little bit on that list, like all that kind of stuff. Now before people accuse me of acting all holier than thou, let me say this. If this is how you enjoy the game, by breaking the system beyond all belief and finding these whack-ass builds, all the more power to you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If that's how you find your fun, that's great, good for you. What I'm trying to say is just because you can break the game, that doesn't make it the easiest. If you're using these OP builds or abilities, then yeah, the game is going to be easier. But guess what? No one is making you use them. The Bravely builds are all about experimentation, so if you find that you're just breezing through every boss fight without breaking a sweat because you discovered this really awesome level 9 Thief ability, maybe try changing up your build. Test the waters, try different damage options, mix and match jobs, but don't go and say the game is easy because you broke it. Have some self-restraint, recognize that you're making it too easy for yourself. Try new builds out, explore your options, just like you would if the boss was too difficult. I went through 7 different jobs on Seth through my initial playthrough. Now, some might retort that I'm doing the exact opposite, that I'm nerfing myself by not using these abilities, and that instead of breaking the game, I'm purposefully making it harder for myself. I would still disagree, however. I don't think not using OP abilities is handicapping yourself. Handicapping yourself would be doing what Mario 497 did on his first playthrough and going in on hard and only playing at the lowest level possible, ending up fighting the final boss at level 28. The fact that he beat it is extremely impressive, but that is an actual example of nerfing yourself. By that logic, I believe keeping yourself at the appropriate level of play for the game is not handicapping yourself. That's just playing the game as the developers most likely intended. Now, you don't have to abide by that. No one is saying that you must try and stay at the recommended level, or that you won't enjoy the game if you aren't playing it that way. But I would like to imagine that the devs designed the game so that the most generally enjoyable experience happens at the recommended level. So I feel confident in saying playing the game at an appropriate level is a real thing and isn't just restricting yourself to artificially make the game harder. Then you have the problem of Bravely veterans who have 2 games worth of experience, and probably a lot more from other series with job systems and the like, who know what to be on the lookout for. We already know how the system works or how to adapt to it quickly, so those of us that like to tinker are obviously going to find the overpowered stuff quickly. But again, even as a Bravely veteran myself, I really don't think 2 is the easiest. If you're talking about how easy it is to do the breaking into, then yes, I can agree on that front. All the jobs in 2 are fantastic, and the game just keeps giving you good stuff over and over. But once again, self-control is a thing. Just because you unlock Neo Cross Slash in the prologue doesn't mean you have to spam it for the rest of the game. And if you're arguing that I'm wrong and that you need 4 characters with Godspeed Strike to beat the game, get good. I'm sorry, I literally have no other answer for that. Just get good. That's such a lazy perspective to have on a game that's about having the freedom to customize your team however you wish. I actively avoided Godspeed Strike, Neo Cross Slash, and Beastmaster for my entire playthrough, and I made it out just fine. You can take a look at my team setup. I made a video for it. It's a good team setup, but it wasn't beating the boss in 5 seconds or winning every time on the first try. It made for fun and invigorating combat. It made the boss fights matter. And at the end of the day, that was what made it so enjoyable to play for me. So what exactly is it that makes Bravely Default 2 so difficult then? For me, it's the fact that the bosses appear to try and meet the player at their bullshit level. Counters are a big example of this, making up for the creativity and builds we players have. Counters allow the bosses to keep up and sometimes exceed the pacing that Bravely players have typically kept combat at. Because good players min-max the ever-living crap out of their teams, the bosses need something to be able to act accordingly, and so counters were the solution. Sure, sometimes they do overreach and become smothering in a fight, but I genuinely believe that they were a good addition for the most part. And then let's look at the portal fights. In particular, Portal 5. Yes, the Hell Portal with Berserker, Pictomancer, and Arcanist. Have you figured out why this particular portal is so disgustingly difficult? It's because you're actually fighting a real team build, just like your own. Foley, for example, has access to the Phantom passive rewarding results and the specialty results guaranteed, which just makes your status effects and insta-death attacks absolutely monstrous. But see, this is the kind of setup that we would come up with. This portal, annoying as it may be, is the perfect example of the game meeting us on our terms. Hence why I believe BD2 is the most challenging game in the series thus far. I wanted to take a moment to discuss Bravely 2nd, since it seems to be the other go-to for people when discussing what the easiest Bravely game is, and I'm in agreement with that point. A lot of people also accuse 2nd of being easy to break, and I can agree with that too. The best job in the game, Wizard, is literally handed to you at the start. It's the first job you get. Spellcraft is so wildly broken, and Bishop is just about on par. I mean, come on, percent-based healing, it's so strong. Now, some longtime viewers would probably know that I used a Wizard with Bishop as my healer, or that I just used Exorcist in general, one of the most blatantly OP things I've ever seen in a video game. And I will agree with that. Using those classes probably made my experience a bit easier. But I don't think it contributed 100% to that. There were only 3 battles in 2nd that really gave me trouble, and those were Belphegor, because that shit's just annoying, Geist, thanks to his sniper minions, and Super D-Naught, because that fight is a literal coin flip, let's be honest here. Other than those 3 though, no other fight really stands out in my mind as being super challenging, and I feel it comes more from the complexity of the bosses themselves, rather than just a good setup, or rather the lack of complexity to the Bravely 2nd bosses. They just didn't do things that really challenged me or hit me hard enough to really make me worry that often. Now going to BD2, for example, where we have Gladys smacking you 6 times a turn and counterattacking you, and Helio regenerating them both and casting magic on you, all while having the extra counters on top of all that. Now that is a real challenge. Alright, that's probably enough ranting for one video. I just want to reiterate, easy to break doesn't mean the game is just plain easy on its own. If you find yourself breaking the game and there's just no difficulty left to it and you're not having fun, just don't break it. Easy enough. Change your build up. Don't keep pretending like you have to use this one and only setup to solve all your problems for you, and go try something new. And again, this isn't me telling you or anyone else how to play the game, or you're wrong for playing it any other way. If you enjoy using one-shot mechanics to just decimate the game, and that's how you derive your enjoyment from Bravely Default, then good for you. Keep doing it. I'm not saying to stop. But you cannot claim that the game is actually easy if you do so, because you need to be aware that you are breaking the game. There's making the game harder for yourself through level capping or job restricting. There's over-leveling and abusing overpowered abilities. And then there's playing the game at the intended game level that the devs tried to craft the experience around. This whole video has just been me stating the obvious, hasn't it? Well, I'm sure I don't need to ask you to leave a comment down below because I'm sure there's already plenty of you doing so. So I guess I'll just ask that you leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more Bravely Default 2 content, maybe more discussion videos like this, who knows. Just remember, at the end of the day, this is not me saying not to use overpowered abilities. This is me saying that if you do use them, you cannot claim that the game is just easy. There, that's the TLDR. Go post it on Reddit.